Hello and welcome to Redeeming Thunder. This is chapter 37, part 3. Yahuwah has a lot to download to you, okay? I'm so thankful that and humbled that he has chosen me to be able to deliver these very informative, insightful, and pivotal downloads from heaven to assist you in obtaining your rainbow promise, which is your future ordained spouse. Now on 7/3/2025, I hear in the sub days, so I'll be put in a sleep for like 1 to 2 seconds. Suddenly I hear, it's nothing personal, but then I get put in the sub days again, and then it says, you thought it was your husband. So for some of you, you have been gathering some clues and you've been thinking it's been a certain individual all this time. So that's what's giving that vibe. You thought it was your future husband, okay? Okay, and then I'm put in the sub days again. And 1 or 2 seconds again, I get downloaded another revelation, okay? And this is for people that have children. He says, you're going to think of your children. Ready? And so I wake up and I hear that, right? So then I get my phone. Sometimes I already have my phone with me because I'm already researching. I'm already diving in and trying to gather the revelations, okay, of the prophetic word. Then I put into a sub days again. 1 or 2 seconds. It's not a long nap, okay? And it's to deliver message direct. There are times where I'm giving direct message, such as I'm getting direct message like a Rema word, and I'm awake, okay? And there's times where I'm receiving a vision, or there's times where it's also a dream. I'm asleep. And then there are times when I be studying, I be watching something, okay, and I be put into sleep suddenly for like 1 or 2 seconds only. And that's when I call the sub days. And then he says, he's like a tall man. Okay. So now I gather all that and I'm like, wait a minute, I need to talk to Yahuwah. He wants to talk to me. I need to get in the secret place. So on 7/4/2025, and he says, okay, sit down and I'll tell you all about it. All right. And there I am. I get comfortable. I get ready to write, okay? And then he says, Yol sim masa lase. He's speaking to me in Hebrew. And so when I break down the revelations of this, he says, Yol stands for Yahuwah is willing. Sim, to pay attention, notice, be aware of something. Be aware of something. Okay? Masa means an utterance. It's a burden of the word of Yahuwah to touch, feel, handle. And then Lase means a mental or physical motion, to be viewed, to be blinded by, and only has eyes for you, to delight in. Okay, so it means someone, you're going to wow someone, and they're only going to be able to have eyes for you. Okay? So, they're going to be blinded by everybody else, and every other woman they can't really notice them at all. Okay? And they can only notice you. Okay? So they're getting to the point where if they had a counterfeit, they cannot be with that person anymore. Okay? Just today, in the shower, Yahuwah says sit down, because there's 2 little seats. It's a kind of a big shower, okay? Glass doors, and there's 2 seats. And he says, sit down. And he wanted to deliver some more insightful information for this prophetic word. And he says something along the Vashtis are going to be no more. Okay? The ones that have a counterfeit are no longer going to be with the counterfeit. Okay? And he used the word Sana Maya, or Maya Sana, which means rivers of living water, that gaseous blue, magical, supernatural water that is created in heaven is within you. Okay? He's going to be pouring it on individuals. And Sana means in this year. In this revolution of time. That's what Sana means. Okay, so then I researched, what does Masa mean? In Arabic, it means to feel, to touch, to handle. Okay. So maybe if they are, you walking past in a hallway, and maybe you rub against a shoulder or something accidentally, or you brush against a hand when you're trying to grab something that's, something that's at the table, and both of you are going for something, and you guys are just sort of brushing past, stuff like that. Okay? That could be what's causing an electrical current. Okay? That supernatural Maya water, okay, is maybe, it's like a purposeful being engulfed in that water. It could be that is what's being used. Okay? It could be. I saw in the past angels having that type of water in bucket, and then they dumped it on. So in other words, angels are giving this water, okay, to use for Yahuwah's people. Okay? And they could be using it for healing, but I feel like it's something like, it's not just, I think you're going to be able to supernaturally feel it. It's going to be it's going to be like an electric current, like electric shock. Like, it's going to, not where you're going to be electrocuted, but it's going to be something where in that exact moment something is being ignited. Okay? Now, the word lasha, meaning in etymology means to be gaped at, to be delighted in. Okay? Your brave lion is going to have only eyes for you. He is going to be staring at you, so delighted to be in your presence. Okay? The word lase stands for lion. Okay? That's why I know it's an Ordained Spouse series, because Yahuwah has referenced the lion in many prophetic words regarding the ordained spouse. Okay? So then he says, Alas, ayin, sama, sa, pag. Allah stands for arise and ascend. Ayin stands for divine alignment, the eye of Yahuwah. Sama stands for listen and obey to understand. Sa stands for deliverance. Pag stands for a chance, a meeting, or encounter. Okay? So there's going to be a chance for you guys to be encountering each other, to meet each other. It also means to bring justice. Okay. Then suddenly I hear, listen. Okay? Now, here the words for intercession are paga. Adonai saw it, and it displeased him that there was no justice. He saw that there was no one, and was amazed that no one interceded. Therefore, his one arm brought him salvation. Okay, so he's trying to say is, you need to intercede for this union, for that chance to meet, for that encounter, for that supernatural encounter for you and your future ordained spouse to have. PAG stands for intercede for your future ordained spouse union. Intercede for your deliverance. He says, listen and obey to understand that you are in the divine alignment. You need to arise and ascend to your calling. And the way you do it is you need to intercede. You need to be in the prayer. Okay? Okay, so it means green fig, unripe fig. The word pag. The word appears in Songs of Songs 2:13, where it describes a fig tree producing its early fruit. I have given other prophetic words regarding this, of the early fig, which means it's all set. All that's left is he needs you to intercede. He needs you to pray for your future ordained spouse union. Okay? You need to launch forth some angels. Okay? You need to stay in prayer, because when you're prayerful, you're in faith. Pray in the Spirit, because the Holy Spirit's going to help you pray for exactly that you want to pray, that needs to be happen on earth as it is in heaven. Then he says, Ish G my ig ali. And this is what it means. There was a distraction, an attack, and we triumphed. Okay? Ish means husband, and it says the G, to walk, carry, nourish, to walk to the water. It's the G for Gimel, the Hebrew word Gimel, which means to walk to the water, to nourish, to carry, to walk. Okay? You are mine. Yahusha saying, you are mine. Ig. I can't find egg. Okay, so what egg stands for? 1 second. Okay, it means a letter. Okay, judgments. So during your journey, you have been dealing with other attacks. So somebody has been sending a letter and or a text and or an email to defame your character once and again to others. Okay? And Yahuwah saw it. Okay? He wants you to ascend. Okay? Okay? He wants you to not engage with the individuals to try to reclaim your dignity. Okay? He wants you to not continue with the toxic relationships. He wants you to, that's a battle right there that Yahuwah is taking care of already. Okay? And he doesn't want you to fuss with it anymore, because that was that person's test. Okay? Gimel, remember the word ish, ge, my, ig, ali. Okay. Gimel stands for rich, giving to the poor, giving and receiving. The Gimel also represents reward and punishment. So Yahuwah is already handling the matter, and He's settling divine punishment for those who have been slandering your name, defaming your character, gossiping about you, and swaying others away from you with their negative comments. Okay? Fabricating the truth. He saw it all. Okay? And when you gave to the poor, when you gave with your heart, when you were compassionate, and those individuals that you gave to instead did the backstabbing and the heart stabbing. Can we say heart stabbing? Can we say just the unappreciative, the extreme judgmental, and not sharing grace, and not sharing mercy, and not sharing humbleness to you, okay? That occurred. And now Yahuwah is saying, you are mine. I am yours. He has it handled. So you do not have to go and try to retaliate. He has it handled. Okay. Now he's saying, he puts in the sub days, and now suddenly he says, battlefield. Okay. Now on 7/10/2025, he says, Shoko. And you know what that means? Battlefield of faith. Listen on. Okay? So, Yahuwah has seen your warfare in the month of June. Okay? You're entered the month of July. The old man has died, and the new person is getting revived. Okay? Soko is Strong's number, Hebrew number 7755. Soko's value reminds believers that spiritual battles often erupt on familiar ground. Okay? That's when David writes his Psalms, when he had gone through a lot of warfare, and he wrote the book of Psalms. Okay, so trust in Yahuwah. So that seems very interesting that he says, Soko Valley reminds believers that spiritual battles often erupt on familiar ground. Something that you had done in the past, you went back to supply assistance and help to those in need. That was familiar to you to do. And in that circumstance, there was a battle behind the scenes. There was a separate agenda. And those individuals that you thought needed the support and help did not change. Okay? It did not change. That was their test though. Okay? I wanted to explain a little bit further if I can find. Okay. Ministry Reflections. Battlefield of Faith. Soko's Valley reminds believers that the spiritual battle often erupts on familiar ground. David's example encourages trust in Yahuwah rather than invisible strength. Rather than in visible strength. Vigilance and obedience. Rehoboam's wise fortifications proved inadequate when later generations drifted from covenant fidelity, teaching that security ultimately depends on steadfast obedience to Yahuwah. Stewardship and blessing. Solomon's administrative use of Sokos illustrates how Yahuwah's gifts, lands, towns, resources are to be organized for the common good when the nation walks in righteousness. So right now, Yahuwah wants you to pray for the individuals and not assist them in helping. Okay? So, I'm suddenly putting up sub-days once and again, and he says, what was the hope of the nation? Okay? It was to rebuild and restoration. The prodigals to return. Okay? That was one of the hopes of the nation. Okay? But when certain individuals are whispering negative comments, that does not encourage the prodigals to return. They're interrupting the divine alignment. Now they're messing with Yahuwah's plans. Do you see what I'm saying? That's not good. That's a very bad place to be. Okay, so I'm going to speak about the letter now, the word ig. That is Aramaic word, igara. So it's IGG with an A, R-A. Okay, so now it's strong number 104, Ezra 4:8. Raham, the commander of Shimshai, the scribe, wrote a letter against Jerusalem to King Xerxes. Okay? The act of writing a letter indicates the formal and legal approach taken by the adversaries of the Jews. This reflects the Persian Empire's reliance on written communication and decrees to manage its vast territories. The letter's purpose was to halt the rebuilding efforts of Jerusalem, which the local officials viewed as a threat to their power and influence. This opposition is reminiscent of the challenges. Someone just sent me a message. I got a little bit distracted here. Of challenges faced by Yahuwah's people throughout history, where external forces often attempt to thwart divine plans. Do you hear that? Okay. King Xerxes was the king of Persia from 465 to 424 BC. His reign is marked by the various administrative reforms and interactions with the Jewish community. The mention of Xerxes connects this narrative to the broader historical context to the Persian Empire rule over Judah. The king's involvement underscores the political complexities of the time, as local disputes often require intervention from the central authority. This reflects the broader biblical theme of Yahuwah's sovereignty over earthly rulers, as seen in Proverbs 21:1. As follows. The phrase introduces the content of the letter, setting the stage for the detailed accusations against the Jews. This introduction emphasizes the formal nature of the communication and the seriousness of the charges. The letter's content, which follows in subsequent verses, reveals the tactics used by the adversaries to manipulate political power against the Jewish community. The spiritual battles faced by believers, where accusations and oppositions are common, as seen in Revelation 12:2. Okay. Now Yahuwah says, Mayim Ali, which stands for that water, okay, that I was talking about, that was neon blue. Water of life, purification, and the flow of blessings. It's living water. It's alive, okay? The name is also used in traditional Jewish law in references to specific water used in purification rituals. So he's purifying us. Okay. Ali stands for sublime, high, exalted, to rise, to ascend. Ish, I'm now backtracking and reiterating the prophetic word, means man or husband. Okay. Now, I'm putting the subdays as I'm researching and putting in a lot of information here for this word. Suddenly I'm putting the subdays and I hear, hey, what are you doing out there? I can't see anything without the light. Then it says going down. So in other words, whenever you're not purified, okay, you haven't repented, okay, you haven't been humbled and taken some time to reflect, you may be amongst those that are in sin and you're hanging around the wrong crowd. That's going to make you be not clean, okay? You may be not taking the time to be immersed in his purification water. So he's saying, when you're not in that flow, you will be descending and you will also not have his light. So when you go out, make sure you cover yourself with the armor of the Spirit and make sure you have repented. Make sure that you have been walking in righteousness so that you carry his light. Okay, so now putting the subdays, and I hear that means neighbors were poor. I'm not entirely sure what that means. Now putting the subdays again, and I hear, look at this blessings upon us, and they didn't want to hear it from here. Okay, so on that note, I kind of feel like that is stating you might have been around people and they saw you were in the promised land and they saw the beauty and the peace and the abundance, okay? And they still didn't want to hear Yahuwah, the guidance of Yahuwah. They still want to follow their pagan lifestyle. They still want to have their deities. They still want to have self-idols, okay? They still want to put themselves on a pedestal. They still want to have their Isaacs, okay? And then I'm putting in subdays and I hear, what do you want? Choose. Then suddenly I'm putting the subdays. Oops. I hear my name whisper. But a loud whisper, right? Right? And he says, what did you eat for lunch last time? Okay. Nothing gets by Yahuwah, okay? We had recently bought ham, okay? And my husband really loves roasted ham, but we already know that he has been stating in the past, not to eat pork, okay? Bacon, ham, etc. But, it has been quite a bit, so we were gifted this ham. Excuse me, not bought it. We were gifted this ham, and instead of saying no, they just looked so excited and wanted to give it to us. So I received it, and I thought, okay, I'll just cook it, thinking that, it'll be fine. But Yahuwah is mentioning here that he's noticed, and to him it's unclean. So, on that sense, when we're talking about the light, it's dark out there. You could be seen as unclean by eating unclean foods, even. Then, suddenly, in the subdays, I hear, you cannot be reckless. And then, he says, in the subdays again, Ali has his choice. And then which basically means, Ali, remember, stands for sublime. Ascend, arise. And he says has his choice. So he has made, your future ordained spouse has made his choice. Okay? Then I hear sana a ig. Okay, sana a ig. Which sana stands for, in this revolution of time, a stands for alas. Ig stands for a magical moment. Okay? Now, Yahuwah then says in the sub-days, puts me to sleep and says, give me a drink, okay? I'm not sure what that's referring to, other than I think it's the Santa Cena Shabbat, when you break the bread, the challah bread, and you have the cup of wine and you bless the wine, okay? You do communion, okay? Then I hear it's supernatural. All right? It's supernatural. Okay. Now, to drink, the drink offering, when he says, give me a drink, okay? And upon researching a bit more, in Genesis 35:14, where Jacob sets up a pillar at the place where Yahuwah had spoken to him and pours out a drink offering on it. This act signifies Jacob's devotion and gratitude to Yahuwah for his promises and protection. The drink offering becomes more formally integrated into the sacrificial system in the Mosaic Law, as detailed in the book of Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. Exodus 29:40-41, the drink offering is prescribed as part of the daily offering. With the first lamb, offer a tenth of ephah of fine flour mixed with a quarter hin of oil from pressed olives, a drink offering of a quarter hin of wine, offering the second lamb at twilight with the same grain offering and drink offering as in the morning. It is a pleasing aroma and an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. Okay. Now, continue to pray. I hear Ana Anaka Sama Ba. Ana stands for sending some agent to an expected recipient. It also means expect the agent to be back with a benefit. Okay. That is critical news right there. Let me repeat it. Ana Anaka Sama Ba. Well, praying in the Holy Spirit, okay? Means Ana, just that piece in itself means sending some agent to an expected recipient. Expect the agent to be back with a benefit. What in the world? Okay. Anaka means become a fearless soldier. Grace and favor is upon you. Okay. Then, Sama means, it means to give the prophetic word. I had put here listen and obey to understand. And then Ba stands for I'm coming, or he comes. Again, he's coming. Okay. He is seriously coming to you. Okay. Now I'm put in the sub days again, and I hear good, yes, soldier. Are you normally that upbeat? I'm not sure what that entails right there. Okay. You could be not in the best of moods at late. You could be you could be in good moods. I'm not entirely sure. Okay. So when Anaka means grace and favor. Okay. Then I put in the sub days all over again. You outdone yourself, he says. Something that you have done lately has been over the moon, extraordinarily helpful and gracious to others. And Yahuwah has noticed. Okay? And then he's in the sub days again, he says, you're not supposed to struggle. So something occurred where you outdone yourself and you worked really hard to give from your heart, okay? And then it became quite a struggle, because then you were suffering due to the heartless backstabbing that you endured, has then brought pain and suffering on your behalf, okay? Has then caused you to be heartbroken. And Yahuwah doesn't like that. He doesn't like to see his chosen ones suffering at all. Okay? So then I hear in the sub days, a short prayer, Aman. He's getting somewhere. Then I put in the sub days again, quite instantly, back to back upon each other. It means aha, which means an epiphany. And then I'm here in this, put in the sub days again, and I hear quien será, which means in Spanish, that's in Spanish. So this is like about the second time that he spoke to me in Spanish. But he says, who is it? He's trying to reveal to you who your future ordained spouse is. And then you're like, well, I'm like, what do I ask? How do you want me to ask, right? And he says, tell them, you said it, not me. So something that you have said, or the name that you have said before in this revolution of time, okay? You have said the future ordained spouse's name. Okay? And then I'm putting the sub days again, and I hear, ever so it. So part of the interceding, where he says pag earlier on, remember, where it was an early fig, and it had come and sprouted forth from the tree, and it's too ripe, it's too unripe to eat. So early figs come in June. The regular figs come in July, August, I believe. That's the season for it. So he's saying, the way you intercede and you pray for your future ordained spouse, there's something else that you need to do besides that, and that is sowing a seed into a ministry, into somebody that needs it. Preferably, it would be in a ministry that you're getting spiritually fed. Okay. I also sow seeds. I do it. I try to tithe, and I sow into ministries. Okay? Why? Because I want to see my miracles happen. I realize that the way I'm getting miracles is not just by my faith. I need to literally sow money. Okay? It's a transaction. All right? And so which ministry do I sow a seed in? And that was a time when I was listening to a Dr. Ben Lim word about July Jubilee, and it has been 70 years. So he says sow $70, right? Or $7. You know, it's just number 7. What? And so he has confirmed, okay, to me. So I'm going to do the same. So the number 7, so 7, 70, $7, $7.07. Put your faith into it. Okay? There was another moment when Yahuwah had brought up to sow $50. He gave me a dream that said 50 or 20. Okay? He gave me an option of the two. This is the 5th month of the Hebrew year. $5 or $50. Okay? You put your faith in the matter to mature, to ripen the fruit, to ripen into maturity the divine promise. Hallelujah. All right, now that's all I have for you for this chapter 37, part 3. And I will see you on the next video. Shalom.